But if you look at it, it's all controlled. And then why is the CIA funding third world country record labels? Why is that happening?
Leonardo DiCaprio's legal team has just gone into full-scale lockdown. But the documents they're racing to contain don't stop with the unsealed Jeffrey Epstein files. The real shockwave is emerging from Sean Combs' own archives, where recently surfaced footage and guest lists reportedly placed DiCaprio near the center of two overlapping controversies that Hollywood's most powerful figures believed were long buried. For years, many assumed the Epstein records were the only looming threat, until insiders suggested that Combs' notorious freak-off parties, now facing federal scrutiny, allegedly feature the same names, the same dates, and the same unsettling pattern: silence, followed by sudden, frantic damage control. Right now, DiCaprio's representatives are pushing back against what they call misleading party photos from 2004 and 2019, while members of Combs' inner circle, now behind bars, are leaking pre-arrest recordings in which he says, "We're losing," a phrase his attorneys now claim as stolen property in a last-minute lawsuit against Netflix. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice, holding more than 2 million pages of Epstein-related material, has missed yet another court-ordered deadline, releasing barely 1% of the total cache. As Combs' sons prepare a counter-documentary while facing their own separate misconduct and battery lawsuits, new questions are emerging. What doesn't add up? DiCaprio's team dismissing decades-old party images as ridiculous during the same week Combs' legal filings reference co-conspirator settlements, while Ghislaine Maxwell's prison deposition reportedly names 29 protected figures, some still shielded, some still very much in the public eye. The files are still coming. The names are already circulating. And the men who once believed their connections made them untouchable may be about to learn just how wrong they were.
What I've gathered from your articles, this seems to be a global network that Epstein was a part of, and I believe there are multiple Epsteins. Like, I don't believe that Jeffrey Epstein was the head of the snake. Yeah, like, they never go after the head of the snake. They never go after
the head of the snake, quote unquote, are it's the billionaire class, and so there's a faction of these billionaires in our oligarchy. And of course, the American oligarchy, the American oligarchs don't necessarily, a lot of them don't have an
The moment the first wave of Epstein-related documents entered the public domain last December, Leonardo DiCaprio's legal team moved with unusual speed, scrubbing old images, forcefully pushing back against party rumors, and quietly reconnecting with contacts inside the Department of Justice. But here's where the story stops lining up. If this was only about Epstein, why is there now a sudden effort to distance DiCaprio from Sean Combs' inner circle as well? According to insiders, the answer lies in newly leaked internal communications from Combs' legal team, which suggest DiCaprio's name appears not only in Epstein-related records, but also on guest lists tied to Combs' most notorious private events, specifically the 2004 White Party in Miami and Combs' 2019 50th birthday celebration in Los Angeles, both now central to the federal investigation surrounding Combs' operations. What escalates the concern is that Combs, unlike Epstein, didn't rely solely on written logs. He documented everything. And according to 3 sources with direct knowledge of the material, footage from those gatherings, now reportedly in federal hands, shows more than mere attendance. It captures interactions that don't align with the carefully polished image of a climate-focused Hollywood statesman. The Department of Justice's handling of the Epstein files has raised questions from the beginning, but its approach to the Combs material is where the narrative starts to bend. Under court order, all unclassified Epstein-related documents were supposed to be released by December 19, 2025. Instead, officials have released just 12,285 files, roughly 1%, while retaining more than 2 million pages of material, including audio and video seized from Epstein's properties. Now Congress is pushing back, with Representatives Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie publicly accusing the DOJ of defying the law and threatening subpoenas. But the real issue isn't the delay itself. It's what they appear determined not to reveal. Sources within the agency admit that some of the most sensitive material doesn't focus on Epstein alone. It centers on the overlaps between his network and Combs, and the names that surface in both. That's where DiCaprio's legal strategy becomes clearer. The aggressive dismissal of so-called misleading party photos isn't just reputation control. It's an attempt to stop a chain reaction. Because if Combs' footage suggests compromising situations, and Epstein's records confirm repeated proximity, the narrative shifts, from unfortunate associations to something more coordinated. Something that begins to resemble participation.
Diddy really screwed up, and I'm not referring to his criminal trial, which has him sitting in prison right now, but it has to do with something that happened right before he got arrested. If you've seen the Netflix documentary about Diddy, The Reckoning, which 50 Cent produced, there's some footage there that had never been seen before. This is a photographer that Diddy hired to follow him around. And
the troubles didn't begin with his arrest in September 2024. They started years earlier, with persistent whispers about his so-called freak-off parties, gatherings where guests allegedly crossed lines between excess and exploitation. Usher, who lived with Combs as a teenager, hinted at that world during a 2016 interview with Howard Stern, saying you'd open a door and see somebody in the middle of something, a remark that took on new significance when federal agents raided Combs' homes in March 2024 and uncovered what one investigator described as a stockpile of substances and sophisticated recording equipment. But here's where everything shifts. Combs didn't just host these parties. He documented them. And according to a producer involved with 50 Cent's recent Netflix documentary, the footage from those events shows more than celebrities blowing off steam. It places them in situations that, as one attorney familiar with the material put it, wouldn't last 5 minutes in a courtroom. That's why DiCaprio's team now trying to suppress photos from the same period raises serious questions, because it suggests they know exactly what's on those tapes. Then there's Ghislaine Maxwell's recent habeas petition, filed from her Texas prison cell. It doesn't just reference Epstein's co-conspirators. It points to 29 men who allegedly reached secret settlements to avoid prosecution. No names are listed, and they don't need to be. The timing tells the story. Maxwell's filing landed in late 2025, precisely as the Department of Justice was supposed to be releasing the Epstein files. And the language she uses, co-conspirators, protected individuals, financial arrangements, mirrors wording found in Combs' own legal filings, where his attorneys reference third-party settlements connected to his parties. Coincidence? Not when you remember that billionaire Leon Black, a figure linked to both Epstein and former President Donald Trump, paid $62.5 million in 2021 to quietly settle claims tied to Epstein's operations. No trial, no public record, just silence. The same pattern appears in Combs' orbit. His sons, Justin and Christian, are now racing to release a documentary meant to set the record straight, but their credibility is already strained by their own legal issues. Christian faces a 2022 assault allegation, while Justin was named in a 2024 gang-related assault lawsuit. Their project isn't just storytelling, it's a last-ditch attempt to control a narrative that's slipping away. And the urgency says everything. They're pushing it out while their father's appeal is still pending and the Epstein files remain only partially unsealed. The most damaging element of this entire story isn't what's been released, it's what hasn't. The Department of Justice claims redactions are meant to protect victims, yet in the Epstein files entire pages are blacked out. Dates vanish. Third-party references appear without explanation. Even in the visible sections, there are gaps that defy logic, like a partially unredacted 2020 email from a federal prosecutor suggesting Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet far more often than previously reported. If that slipped through, what else is still being concealed? The answer may run straight through the Combs connection. Trump wasn't only linked to Epstein, he was photographed repeatedly with Combs in the late 90s and early 2000s, including at a 2019 Met Gala after-party where Combs' behavior reportedly escalated to the point security intervened. And if Trump's name is appearing in unexpected places, whose name might surface next? What's unfolding now isn't just another scandal. It's the collapse of long-standing, unspoken agreements that kept these stories buried for decades. DiCaprio's aggressive response suggests his team believes the worst is still ahead. The Justice Department's delays signal preparation for fallout. And Combs' inner circle, from his sons to former associates, are moving with unmistakable desperation. There's a reason 50 Cent's Netflix documentary didn't stop at Combs' alleged crimes. It ended with footage from the days before his arrest, capturing him muttering to his lawyers, "We're losing."
Hard to say because there's still such a big question mark in the air because, Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, is one of the executive producers on the series. Him, the director, Netflix in general is not saying where they got this footage, only that it was obtained legally. Diddy's side is saying this is coming from a videographer I hired. I know we'll get into the cease and desist. One of the arguments they make is, this is subject to NDAs or agreements that the videographer had signed with Diddy because he was, employed by Diddy.
The files are still coming. The names are already circulating. And the men who believed their connections made them untouchable are about to learn just how wrong they were. Because the real story isn't only about what's already leaked. It's about what hasn't, and the frantic moves happening right now to make sure it never does, while public attention stays locked on the names already exposed. DiCaprio's visibly defensive legal team. Combs' escalating courtroom battles. The Department of Justice's increasingly suspicious delays. Behind all of it, a quieter, far more calculated game is unfolding. The same network that shielded Epstein for years is still operating, still connected, still influencing what the public is allowed to see. And the clearest signal isn't the information that's surfaced. It's the information being buried faster than anyone can uncover it. The key to understanding how deep this runs lies in the overlap between Epstein's operation and Combs' parties. Not just shared guest lists, but shared mechanics. Epstein's island functioned like a black box. No cameras, no formal records, only rumors and settlements. Combs took a different approach. He turned his gatherings into spectacle, professionally filmed, scattered across social media breadcrumbs, with a revolving door of A-list attendees who should have known better. That difference isn't about style. It's about evidence. And that's why the current scramble goes beyond damage control. It's about containment. When federal agents raided Combs' properties in March 2024, they didn't just recover substances and party paraphernalia. They uncovered what one investigator described as a meticulous archive. Not just photos, but video. Not just guest lists, but interactions. And the people who appear in that material, DiCaprio included, may soon find that the most dangerous part of this story isn't what's already known, but what's still waiting to be seen.
I don't know this, but it just seems very suspicious when you go through and you look at in the history of different people that can make you go away if you listen, I've worried about some of the things that I talk about on my.
So this is where we leave it, for now. Because this story isn't over, and the people who think they're safe may want to think again. How many of the names on those guest lists are still operating without consequences? Why do certain figures appear to receive protection from the Department of Justice, while others are left exposed? What's really on the tapes Combs was so determined to record? And who else is watching nervously, hoping their name never surfaces? When the full truth finally comes out, will anyone actually be held accountable, or will the system do what it's always done, absorb the scandal and move on? The comments are open. The files are still coming. And the people who know the most are still saying the least. So what's your take? Who's really pulling the strings here? And who's about to get caught in the fallout? Let us know below. We're still watching. Thanks for watching.